This morning I was zocher to be at the bris of one of the wonderful, outstanding Rabbeim in our Yeshiva, Rabban the Yudin. He and his wife was zocher to a baby boy whose name is David Yair. And I was thinking of more or less articulating the following idea. I didn't speak at the bris, but I wanted to. But it would have been a tircha and tzibur, and so I had Rachmanis on the audience. And the Torah tells us in the context of Yaakov giving a bracha to Ephraim and Menashe, the Torah says, "Vayivarachem bayom ahu leimor, b'cho yivarach Yisrael leimor, yisimcha Elokim ki Ephraim v'chi Menashe, vayasem es Ephraim v'chi Menashe." These are beautiful words. These are actually very much part of our ritual in many respects, and many bless their children with this bracha of Yisimcha Elokim ki Ephraim Menashe. There's a striking Targum Yonasan, one of the most famous Targum Yonasans that's found in the Torah. He writes the following: that on that day he gave them a bracha, and the bracha was, as the pasuk indicates, B'cha Yosef Brei, Yosef my son, Yevorchu Beis Yisrael, Yas Yenuka B'yom Mahulta, on the day of the Bris Milah. That's when this bracha was given. The bracha of Yisimcha Elokim ki Ephraim v'chi Menashe. In general, one of the questions that's often asked by Bris Milah, why is it the name is conferred dafka at that juncture, at that point? B'ikari Shmo B'Yisrael. In this morning's case, it was David Yair. Why is that so? So there is a well-known approach that I heard many, many years ago, many decades ago, from my Rebbe Rabbi Yisrael Alpert, Zechat Tzaddik Livracha, and recently I saw it also in the name of Rosh Yeshiva, Hagoyin Rav Moshe Shmuel Shapir, Zechat Tzaddik Livracha, Rosh Yeshiva Ber Yaakov, and the idea is along the following lines. There's a Rashi in Lech Lecha, Rashi on the pasuk where HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Avram Avinu, "V'nivruchu v'cha kol mishpachei sa'adama u'v'zarecha," that through you, Avram Avinu, you will in effect have the Mafteach bracha, and through you, kol mishpachei sa'adama will be blessed. So Rashi has the following comment. Rashi says, the lashon of Rashi is, Adam oimel livno teheki Avram. A person says to his son, Halavai, you should be like Avram Avinu. V'chein, Rashi goes ahead and indicates that we can extrapolate from here, from Lech Lecha, to other similar psukim. What does Rashi quote? The Hochacha, B'cha yivarach Yisrael leimor, Yisimcha Elokim ki Ephraim v'chi Menashe. Rashi quotes actually the pasuk that I just began with, namely the pasuk in Vayechi. What exactly is the intent of the Targum Yonasan over here? B'yom de Mahulta, and what's the kavanah of Rashi when Rashi indicates that these two particular situations have in it this concept, this idea, Teheki Avram. So my Rabbeim suggested the following, that in effect Avram Avinu was zoche to a bracha shebishmo yisbarchu, that through his name people will be blessed. Namely, when a person says to his son, Teheki Avram, in effect, what am I doing? I'm conferring upon my son the name of Avram Avinu, and I want him to be zoche to the attributes and to the tchunos of Avram Avinu. That he should have the same shefa that Avram Avinu had by virtue of that name. It means the shem of Avram should be chal on the misbarech, and the person is the recipient of the bracha. There's a very fascinating Rambam. The Rambam writes in his letters about his son. The Rambam's son, well-known personality, one of the great Doli Ador, Rabbeinu Avram and the Rambam. The Rambam says about his son, Rabbeinu Avram, that the reason why he was given that name is essentially based on this yesod that Rashi is saying in Lech Lecha. Namely, that he should be zochet to the shefa of Avram Avinu, because the Shem is very much goreim a bracha. And when one mentions that particular Shem, whatever Shem it may be, in effect, the bracha that's embedded in that Shem will now be down to the Mizbarech, to the recipient of that bracha. And that's, for example, what we say by Birchas Kohanim. We say, "V'samu shmi al bnei Yisrael." Hashem says, "V'ani avarachem." That is to say, that through Birchas Kohanim b'Shem Hashem, the bracha of Hashem Yisbarach should in effect redound to Klal Yisrael. Ki'ilu, the Rebbeinu Shalom is conferring His name on Klal Yisrael. Or we say actually in the davening every day, in the middle of Lamatzeach, in Tehillim, We say over there, Yancha Hashem b'yom tzara, Yisagevcha Shem Elokei Yaakov. The bracha comes about through the intermediary of the Shem Hashem. Yisakevcha Shem Elokei Yaakov. There's a famous Tanchuma, which I just want to mention, a well-known Tanchuma. The Tanchuma tells us that a person, in effect, should be extremely careful when they give a name to their children. The name is very significant, and the name is very critical. The Tanchuma writes in Parshas Ha'azinu, on the pasuk of Zechor Yemos Olam Binu Shnos Dor Vador, in the name of Moshe Adarshin, Liolam Yivdal Gadol B'Shemas Likva Lubno. Person should be very careful when you give a name to your child. Horoi Lios Tzadik. Every child potentially can be a righteous person. Kilifamim Hashem Gorim Tov or Gorim Ra. Hashem can either be a Gorim for positive or Chas v'Shalom a Gorim for that which is negative. And the Medrash actually gives a number of examples in either direction. The point simply being that here we see that Hashem is not simply a happenstance, but Hashem is almost, in some respects, one can call it a prophetic kind of conferring of a name that represents and reflects a certain kind of persona that one wants to have. Hopefully, it's Tzaddik B'Yez Hashem. Rambam writes in Chumash, Vayikra Ha'adam Shemos, that when the person actually, Adam Rishon called the different creatures that were created by Hashem by different names, the name reflects the very essence, the mahus, of what that particular creature is all about. And therefore, here, Ephraim and Menashe, the Torah tells us, they were given by Yaakov Avinu, they were given a bracha, and as the pasuk says, and we mention it all the time, Hamalach Hagol Osimi Kol Ra, Yivarech Es Hanorim. V'yikarei Bahem Shemi. They should be called by my name, B'Shem Avosai, Avram Yitzchak. What exactly was Yaakov Avinu telling them? That the Shefa that came from Avram, and the Shefa that came from Yitzchak, and the Shefa that came from Yaakov, all that Shefa should somehow, as I mentioned, should become embedded in the very persona, in the very personalities. They should be zoche to those beautiful tchunos and attributes of the Avos HaKadoshim, and that's why Dafka, B'yayim of the Mahulta, says the Targum of the Son. On the day of the Bris Milah, when we call the name of the child, that's the time to call him the name using Ephraim and Menashe, and Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach. That will also not bring about only the qualities of Ephraim and Menashe, but all the qualities of, as we mentioned, of Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, Halavai, that we should be zochet to have children whose shame, in effect, will radiate, number one, illumination, luminous qualities, those are tzidkus, righteousness, virtues, ethical personalities, and Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, they should continue to grow and grow. We should be zochet to see only nachas and sheva bracha v'atzlacha from all of our children and grandchildren, the Dori Doris.